predator. I've been shooting at the stars. What I need a Beretta for? Woo! Mamba, give me the name, give me the fame, give me the juice. Give me the rings, give me the chains, give me the juice. 24 on my back, 24/7 stack. It's forever cap. Mamba, woo! Give me the name, give me the fame, give me the juice. Give me the rings, give me the chains, give me the juice. 24 on my back, 24/7 stack. Forever cap. I took a few losses, I was lost in getting trophies and rings. I was a lost cause and I lost hope, I was waiting in the wing. I had the sand kicked in my face and I was feeling so out of place. And then I lost sight of my purpose, couldn't pick up the pace. And challenged me, I was feeling cowardly, cause I backed down, now I'm stepping up, no doubt in me. And I know they bigger and I know these niggas tower me, but I still tell them, you ain't finna overpower me. It's been years in the making, I was on the bench, I was waiting. I seen other niggas shine and faking until they make it. I count the days I was counted out, now they counting on me. Now I'm keeping count on the times I heard them talk down on me. Please, don't down my ability before I step out my humility and show my hostility. If you feeling me, I might fuck with your stability. My appetite been too real, you nicked my 4-course meal. And if we collab, I'll treat you the same way Kobe treated Shaquille. But it's all out of love still, same time I want the mass appeal. And now with some bills, I'm ready to kill. And now when I chill till I'm a 3-time champ, turn that number 8 to a 24. Real quick, boy, do the math, now you know what I'm coming for. Yo, man, I bet you cats right now, they listening to this, they probably don't even know what I mean by that. They probably ain't even catch that last line. They ain't see what I did there. Mamba, give me the name, give me the fame, give me the juice. Give me the rings, give me the chains, give me the juice. 24 on my back, 24/7 stack. Forever cap. Mamba, woo! Give me the name, give me the fame, give me the juice. Give me the rings, give me the chains, give me the juice. 24 on my back, 24/7 stack. Forever cap. Mamba, give me the name, give me the fame, give me the juice. Give me the rings, give me the chains, give me the juice. 24 on my back, 24/7 stack. Forever cap. Mamba, woo! Give me the name, give me the fame, give me the juice. Give me the rings, give me the chains, give me the juice. 24 on my back, 24/7 stack. Okay, forever cap. Okay, I heard you niggas got a problem with the way I'm moving. Y'all be chatting in my ear, you a nuisance. Boy, if you don't like me now, just wait for my nose. I'ma have all you other rappers looking useless. Woo! They treated me like a mascot, I was aiming for the jackpot. I get up off the bench, now the cheerleaders be making that rap. I feel like Black Mamba, no pun intended. Kobe's been reborn, now that was a pun, I meant it. I'm hogging the ball, my name's on the hall, bitch, I am the star on the court. I'm passing the ball, you niggas can have it, that's only when I get bored. I took a few L's, I fumbled, I failed, but now I be breaking the score. They betting on me, I carry the team, I know it's hard to ignore. I started off as the water boy, then I turned to a bench warmer. Then I turned to a champion, I did it in the 4th quarter. I did it all in that order, my shot has been water. Niggas been watered down, they was hating in the corner. Ain't no comparisons, ain't none of you can retell my narrative. I got bravado, Missy and Bravo, champions run on my heritage. But it's a couple who want me to fail, I guess they don't want to see me prevail. I guess they don't want to see me excel. Karma comes, I wish you well, because I ain't no regular degular. I'm the hottest competitor, even when I'm taking baby steps, I'm still ahead of ya. You the prey, I'm the predator. I've been shooting at the stars, what I need a Beretta for? Woo! Mamba, give me the name, give me the fame, give me the juice. Give me the rings, give me the chains, give me the juice. 24 on my back, 24/7 stack. Forever cap. Mamba, woo! Give me the name, give me the fame, give me the juice. Give me the rings, give me the chains, give me the juice. 24 on my back, 24/7 stack. Forever cap. I took a few losses, I was lost in getting trophies and rings. I was a lost cause and I lost hope, I was waiting in the wing. I had the sand kicked in my face and I was feeling so out of place. And then I lost sight of my purpose, couldn't pick up the pace. And challenged me, I was feeling cowardly, cause I backed down, now I'm stepping up, no doubt in me. And I know they bigger and I know these niggas tower me, but I still tell them, you ain't finna overpower me. It's been years in the making, I was on the bench, I was waiting. I seen other niggas shine and faking until they make it. I count the days I was counting counted out. Now they counting on me. Now I'm keeping count on the times I heard them talk down on me. Please, don't down my ability before I step out my humility and show my hostility. If you feeling me, I might fuck with your stability. My appetite been too real. You nicked my 4-course meal, and if we collab, I'll treat you the same way Kobe treated Shaquille. But it's all out of love still. Same time I want the mass appeal, and now with some bills I'm ready to kill, and I will not chill till I'm a 3-time champ. Turn that number 8 to a 24. Real quick, boy, do the math. Now you know what I'm coming for. Yo, man, I bet you cats right now, they listening to this, they probably don't even know what I mean by that. They probably even catch that last line. They ain't see what I did there. Mamba, give me the name, give me the fame, give me the juice. Give me the rings, give me the chains, give me the juice. 24 on my back, 24/7 stack. Forever cap, Mamba. Woo. Give me the name, give me the fame, give me the juice. Give me the rings, give me the chains, give me the juice. 24 on my back, 24/7 stack. Forever cap.
I think we're on point. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good. Let's get this thing going. And I think I got a little too much there. All right, let's do this. All right, good people. Welcome to Keeping It Ugly with, of course, me, Joe Ugly, the Dean of the Independent. God's other son. Wow, I'm loud. I didn't know I was that loud. God's other son. The sterilized bastard and all that good stuff. But as the promos told you today, as you might have got it on YouTube and, of course, on your Instagram or Facebook or whatever it is, we have civil rights lawyer Michael Jefferson, an icon here in the city of New Haven. I'm giving this man mad props. I got to give him super props. First out, understand that the first time I actually, before I even met this guy, I'll give a little background here. Before I even met him, I used to work at a rock and urban station, and I was handling sales. And one of the things was you had to monitor your competitor. He was on another radio station. He used to come on at 10 in the morning, and we're talking about some 20-something years, 25, 26 years ago. He used to come on in the morning, and I was like, it was my job to monitor that station in order to see what their ads were. Long story short, we're sitting in the conference room, and we were talking about, is it too hot in here for you, or you got? Oh, okay. We were talking about the sales, but one of the things is we got to, his name came up for some strange reason by the sales manager, who happens to be a white person, and said to me, you really have, I know you have a tough one having to listen to the show. It's the things he say on there. I said the question shouldn't be what he said. The question should be why he have to say it, because at that time he was covering the Malik Jones topic, incident that we had here out of East Haven that led into New Haven that led with a young man losing his life at the hands of the police. And I got to tell you, Mike has been one of those guys that we finally met like some 6 years later when our sons were going to school together. What a small world it is. I was like, wow, this is the same guy. I never met him, but at that time I thought he was, what he was doing over there at that other radio station, I thought it was really sharp. And so, we always kept in contact, and, the families has always been close. And the last time I saw Mike, we were in a local protest that garnered national attention. I'm talking about the Randy Cox issue. No need to dive in because it's an ongoing case, as I understand. But since the incident, the mayor bumped the assistant chief, Carl Jacobson, I should say, to lead the department as police chief. And of course, the Board of Alders, they approved him. Jacobson came to New Haven Police Department 15 years prior. after a 9-year career. I'm reading off here a piece of his resume here. After a 9-year career with the police in East Providence, Rhode Island, and he served as police chief, assistant chief for 3 years. Am I correct? All right. So give me a little background here. What do you think the New Haven Police Department relationship with our community is? Since they have a new head, new leadership.
Well, first, let me just thank you for giving me this platform. It's an honor and privilege to be in your company. I know you're doing great work along with your partner here, Caleb, doing his thing. So, listen, we've been down this road before. I've been in the city for quite some time. Over 40 years now. So
I'm
40. I've been,
Wow.
I came out of New York when I was
Okay.
18. That's where I was, born and raised, born in Harlem
Mm-hmm.
and raised in the Northeast Bronx. And so I came here to go to school.
Mm-hmm.
And I've stayed and met my wife and built a life, family.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as I could remember, I started protesting against police misconduct in the early 90s.
Mm-hmm.
After we helped John Daniels get elected mayor, he had the bright idea of bringing on Chief Pastor, who, after I got to know him, was a decent person, but we certainly opposed his promotion or ascension to the top of the police food chain.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because of the history with
Right.
the Black Panther Party and
Right,
all.
right.
And big ups to Brother George Edwards, who recently passed, a
Right.
former Panther member. I just want to
Mhm.
mention him. But it goes way back. Police in this and police misconduct. It just goes way back. It constantly morphs into something different. As for Jacobson, I like him. I like the chief.
Mhm.
I like Carl. We've had many discussions, and
Mhm.
and I know he wants to do the right thing, but it's difficult because you're going up against a culture.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? So,
Correct.
I just wrote an article, as I'm sure you're aware, called "The Grand Bargain: Challenging Law Enforcement, or more specifically, leaders in law enforcement,
Mm-hmm.
to get their house in order."
Correct.
To challenge the racism, because in American society and throughout the world, criminality and blackness is synonymous.
Right.
And if you're going to go to the heart of the problem, that's where you have to start. You have to unlearn
Right.
that sort of mentality. You cannot allow people who have that sort of mentality on the force in the first place, particularly those who have racial racist tendencies.
Mm-hmm.
You can't allow it. And Jay, go ahead, ask your question.
No, I'm trying to wrap my head around. No, first of all, I honestly believe one of the things that have to go away from police departments, not just here in New Haven, but across the globe, across the country, is that statement of make sure you go home at the end of your shift. That's something that should be banned, I think, from police departments, period. Because even if you take the racist element out of it, which we're not, by the way, I'm going to be right back on that in 5 seconds. But even if you take the racist element out of it, if someone has a situation, he's thinking, I got to make sure I go home at the end of my shift. What are the chances are? And as you state, black and crime is so synonymous. What do you think they're going to be thinking as soon as they come across someone who's black?
The fact of the matter is, police officers do go home at the end of the shift.
Exactly.
I mean that's just
yes.
People have this misperception about. My father was a police officer, for full disclosure, in New York City. Did 20 years on the force.
Okay,
Yeah.
I didn't know this.
Yeah, he did 20 years on the force in some of the worst precincts. We're talking. He was at Fort Apache in the 70s. That's South Bronx.
South Bronx.
That's where they got the name. They call it Fort Apache. He was down there. He was in the 43rd, 45th, and worked in Brooklyn, worked Highway Patrol, worked in the commissioner's office. So my father, he ran the gamut. And you know what he told me, Jay? He said, Mike, it's the best job in the world, man. It's the easiest job as long as you respect people and people respect you. He said, think about it. He said, I have a license to take liberty or life and get away with it. How many people are going to really mess with you?
Now, is that one of the reasons why you have this? I didn't know this history. You know, that I didn't know the background. I didn't know your father was a cop. But is that one of your reasons for getting into civil rights and standing up for civil rights?
Yeah, well, my mom was, she was an educated social worker. She was really big in the community, a leader in the community where I grew up at in the Bronx. She wanted me to become a doctor. My father wanted me to become a police officer. I disappointed both of them.
You became a lawyer.
So, you know, no, they're both gone now, God rest their souls. But they instilled certain things in me. My father had a very good heart. My mother had a good heart in terms of, you know, helping others and wanting to help others, man. You know, she was a master organizer, you understand? And she believed in education and believed in our people. And she believed in me, most importantly. And that's where I think it was my love for humanity. I grew up in the Northeast Bronx. I had a very diverse circle. Most of my friends were black, but I had quite a few friends who were Latino, Jewish. And when I went to Cardinal Spellman High School, a co-ed Catholic school in the Bronx, my circle of friends became even more diverse with Irish and Italian and white Anglo-Saxon Protestants. So, you know, it was, you know, that's the history. And so I always had a love for humanity and, you know, this sense of fairness in the world. And I think when I see that under attack.
Right. When you see people losing their voices.
Yeah, or their liberty.
Right. Their liberty.
And certainly their lives, it moves me, you understand? So to try to put it back in order, you know, to do my part, you know.
Do you think that, we know it's obviously a challenge to try to do our parts. And we all sit off here and we say, I'm just going to do what little I can do. But do you feel sometimes as if it's such a big challenge? Do you sometimes feel yourself against the wall, like, you know, you really want to, and but you feel that moment of giving up?
Yeah, I think you always have to exhale. You have to find that space, and you have to keep people around you who understand you, who know exactly what you're going through, because it's difficult. You know, the constant challenge. Yeah. And challenging authority, because you're targeted. The minute you say, you know, I want to change the drinks in a soda machine, you become a radical. You know what I mean? I mean, you're targeted because you're going up against the establishment.
And especially when you find yourself as a tall, bald black man, you know, right away you just show any form of passion. You immediately looked upon as a threat.
Yeah, it's a lot of us out there.
Right. And and that target just goes up even more so on you. As much as I've always seen, you've always been involved with community organizing. I want to get back with the police situation here in New Haven. I'm not going to deep dive into that case, but we've had other cases. I want you just elaborate a little on your the op-ed that you wrote, or opinion piece that you wrote in the New Haven Independent entitled "A Grand Bargain on Policing." Yeah,
Joe. What I did was, I said, look, let's just get to the nitty gritty here. Let's talk about the faults of both the black community and the police. And I challenge both communities. I challenge leaders in law enforcement to say, clean up your house. You know what's going on. You know, you control this entire process, this criminal justice process starts with the police. The prosecutors are the most powerful in terms of the law enforcement community because they control the charges. But they also can tell the police, look here, slow up. You're going a little too far. Judges even do more. You understand? In terms of challenging the police. But I was really talking to the folks with the boots on the ground. You know, because Jay, if you go right down the street here, 121 Elm Street.
That's one of the courthouses here in the city of New Haven.
That's the People's Courthouse. That's where most of the cases go because they're either misdemeanors or low-grade felonies.
Mm.
And you go on any given day of the week, and there's a courtroom on the third floor, called courtroom F for domestic violence. Now, even after St. Patty's Day, that courtroom is still filled with black and brown faces, males. Now, maybe white women are not getting, not being assaulted by their spouses or significant others. Maybe, that phenomenon is happening. I tend to think otherwise.
Come on,
right?
Mike. Let's keep this up.
The issue is the real issue is that we're policed differently.
Correct.
In our community, so they might go to a home that's occupied by whites, and they might give them the break, give them a good talk. Joe, you go take, or James, you go take a walk.
Mm-hmm.
You, Susan, be quiet. I'll arrest both of you.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You got a kid upstairs. Now they might come into to the other side of the town. We have a black couple where the neighbors call the cops on them, and now say, listen, I got to take one of you, and by the way, I got to call DCF because there's a kid here and the kid was in danger. Now you're overcharging and you're policing us different.
Right.
And that's what goes on, and that's why you have that disparity in courtroom F with domestic. We're policed differently.
Right.
And see, so my challenge to law enforcement was you have to change your ways. And that becomes difficult because you're asking folks to change a culture. Now, in asking you to change your ways, I'm saying to the black community, we've done an awful job of putting a lid on this small violent element that we have in our community. There's a small violent element in our community. Very small.
Right.
But we and again, we're in a quandary. Let me just finish my thought here.
Sure,
okay?
go right ahead.
So we're in a quandary, right? Because when the police, let's say to take the Randy Cox case, when they, engage in some sort of behavior that leads to a young man becoming paralyzed because of some misconduct or their lack of concern for this black body, and this black male, right now we have to shift focus. So we, those of us who are crusading about let's clamp down on the violence in our community, we got to turn our attention to them, right? Which admittedly is a little easier fight than to say, okay, let's deal with the violence in our own community. Because when you turn the lenses on the community, now, I mean, these could be some of your neighbors, these could be people you know, but that's our challenge. Our challenge is to confront that element and say, we don't want that element in our community.
And I don't think there's anyone, any blacks that really want any form of crime in their community. So I can see us wanting to do that. But also, I think what happens is our community is highlighted so much via the media, different avenues. We are highlighted so much for every little thing that we do in our community that it just seems as if things are totally out of run. Like there's a difference between violent crime and, of course, petty crime if you want to. But when they chalk it up as crime is high and you pump that out there and then you show the stats, which is some media does. They combine the different type of crime and then they show it out to as this is why, and then it show something violently happen. So the perception then becomes the black community is so bad. As you stated, there are a small amount. And if I've been out of the suburbs, and I'll tell you right now, the things that these people do to each other, the things that, and like you said, it won't be you go over there. I'm talking about total beat down on a spouse. And if the cop shows up and that stuff don't get reported. Now, there's another element about that, and that's about property value. They start having crime going up, reporting certain crimes. Property value takes a dive. So that's one of the reasons, let's keep it ugly. That's one of the reasons why these people cover up some of this, because property value goes down. So they have a monetary incentive, is my point, to keep this stuff under the wraps.
Right, and my point is a simple one. It's basically we have to confront that violent element in our community.
I agree.
You know what I mean? I'm not
with
one
you.
who gets. I understand that. I understand propaganda. I understand American society. I mean, and the media is just a microcosm of the larger society. So that what they do in terms of how they portray us is par for the course. I mean, that's what they do. You understand? We have to know that and understand that, but don't become consumed with that. We should become consumed with eradicating the violent element, because once we do that, then we remove chaos, and because you can't grow in the midst of chaos, you have to remove chaos, and once you remove chaos, then we can develop. Because then we talk about education. Joe, because education, I think, is comprehensive in nature. It involves not just the schools, but it starts in the home, but it involves the community.
Okay.
And the school has a role to play, but not the most significant role. I think the most significant role is in the home. The way you work with your son, the way I work with mine. It's. I think fathers have to be more responsive in terms of the lives of their children. We just have to be. You understand? And I think that's one of the major issues we have. This violent element in our community.
Again, I'm going to also highlight again suburbs versus our community, and I'm not making any excuses anyway, but I'm just highlighting that fact. I know there's a high percentage of divorces in the suburbs. High percentage. Some of the fathers are not even there with their kids. But I think that it's easy for it to be said that that what we're doing is so bad. Like absentee fathers and this and that. And I'm not making any excuses. We do have absentee fathers.
No, we have a lot of absentee fathers.
I had an absentee father. So I know for a fact, and it's one of the reasons why I was so hands-on about being a present father, 100% being there. But I'm still holding off, and I'm doing a little pushback here.
Sure.
I'm holding off from really putting that full blast on our community as the community that.
But they have luxuries, Jay. The white communities have luxuries. They're white. This America is built for white people.
Okay.
That's the bottom line. I mean,
okay.
So they're gonna have certain luxuries that we're not going to have. They probably can get away. I think all kids need to be loved, period, by someone.
Correct.
All kids need to have an adult in their life who love them. I get that. You understand? In the black community, though, we need fathers. Just think about it. All my friends who have fathers, their kids are walking that straight and narrow. I'm not saying they don't make mistakes. We're all fallible. We're going to make mistakes. Kids are going to make mistakes. Kids are going to be kids. But having that father element matters. At the turn of the century, coming out of slavery, 96% of black households had fathers in them. You understand? 96%. I mean, no matter what happened during that horrific institution of slavery, we still understood the significance of family and being together. So, I can't just dismiss, what that means to have fathers in the home. I think that is significant, and I think some of us take the easy way out because it's easy just to, basically say, "Look, I'm out of here. You handle it."
But it's not always I'm out of here. Some of it is also you're out of here. The mothers, doing all types of. I know, I'm quite sure in family court you've seen where some of the fathers are being. You look at the situations that they're placed in and what have made them had to leave the home.
But they don't have to leave their children.
Correct.
You understand? I mean,
correct.
You can leave the home, but what are you moving to South for if your kid's up here? Why are you moving to California if your kid's here? Now, I get it. Sometimes a job comes into play, all this other stuff. But those are the things you got to take into consideration.
Okay.
Childhood is such a short period of time, bro.
So true.
Adolescence, such a short period of time, and you spend most of your life as an adult, right? And they need someone to help them negotiate and navigate obstacles, and the pitfalls and the traps that await us as Black men in American society. And that guidance has to come from someone who believes in you, who loves you, and who wants to protect you.
And keep in mind, all of my pushback comes from a guy. I'm speaking of myself, who, as you know, been 100% with my kids all the way.
Exactly.
And
he turned out great.
I would say, and I'll say, even took on this kid here as being my son, and look what he's doing right now.
He's turned out great.
He's turned out. So my thing is, I'm not saying this not being, not saying that, I was in the home, so therefore you've been. But one of the things that I also take into consideration is, as you say, Black fathers or Black role models. We need strong Black role models because, as I stated, I didn't have a father in the home, but I had the likes of Hank Parker, the individuals who were around, who I was around, that actually instilled certain things in me. They're just like, hey, you'll hear one person say X, Y, Z about that person, but when it came to me, they made sure that was not the route that I was taking. So, yeah, there were positive role models. So nobody's perfect. And so I grab onto those things. Yeah, those advice and what have helped me focus in on being a good father. Now, thinking of the community thing, I think one of the problems in our community, and you could tell, is the snitching situation where you have, even if you have a male role model or even a father, but some kids run with some kids see something and won't say anything. And
you'd be surprised, Joe. They say it, but there's a lot of snitching going on.
I know.
People are telling all the time.
But this is what I got.
To be very honest with you. I'm in the criminal justice system. I'm telling you right off.
Everybody's snitching, bro.
They all
it's a
talking,
job.
Everybody's talking. Everybody's selling.
Is that right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I caught one of the guys who was an informant actually came to court with a no snitching shirt on. And I told him, I said, and I knew who he was. I said, if you don't go take that shirt on, I'm telling everybody in the store exactly who you are. You're a snitch, and you're talking about no snitching.
Well,
I don't want to tell you how I knew or found out that he was an informant, but I found out.
I can see him pointing the finger. You're a snitch. Like, you're a snitch. Don't do that.
He was pleading with me too. Don't say nothing. I said, go home and take that shirt off.
Yeah. But let me help you guys understand out there. If you want to know the difference between, there's a difference between a snitch and a witness. Now, if you're partaking in the activity and you all got caught and you start opening your mouth, well, you're snitching. But if you're not partaking and you see, some action going on in your community and you say, hey, no, not in my watch, and you say something, that's being a witness. There lies the difference.
Agreed.
And I think absolutely. I think you have to. There's several approaches we have to take, and that's part of the grand bargain. We have to get away from I'm gonna keep these I'm gonna make excuses
right
for these individuals. I'm not giving up these individuals. Someone rode by my house. I live in a pretty decent neighborhood.
Very good neighborhood.
And someone rode by mine. These two cars had a shootout, and the bullets lodged into my neighbor's door. And he's a grandfather, and he has like tons of grandchildren who come by, and he was just so lucky on this particular day. It was a sunny day, afternoon, but nobody was out there. And two bullets lodged into his
broad daylight
in the screen door. And I caught it on tape, and I definitely shared the tape with the police.
And
I'm not
rightfully so.
going to sit up here in my neighborhood and allow you to come through my neighborhood and treat it like the OK Corral. It's not happening, Jay.
There you go. Hey, more than the fact that he's a witness,
no, it's not happening.
The fact is, this is where he lives. He pays his taxes. So, and you do the way you live is because, you take care of the stuff because this is your lifestyle that you want to maintain. And why shouldn't you? You work hard.
And I'll tell you another thing. I'm not letting folks litter in my community.
I don't blame you.
I saw a guy pull up to the stop sign, those who stop at the stop sign, because most of them just run right through the stop sign. But the ones who actually stop and threw a box garbage on the street. I ran out. I happened to be coming out. I said, whoa. Who's supposed to take care of this?
Right.
How that does it? It's not going to clean itself.
So here's the question.
That's that ignorance.
Jay? Here is the question. The real question to me is, what will make someone think? What is the disconnect to make someone think this is a good idea?
I have no idea. You have to ask the folks who think like that, who think littering is okay.
That's not just littering, man. That's dumping. There's a big difference. Littering, and I don't even tolerate littering, which is like peeling off a candy wrapper and throwing it on the ground. But when you think it's okay to take a box of garbage and throw it in somebody else's space, what's the mentality? Where did that come from?
I really can't. It's certainly a level of ignorance that, that really I can't explain. I really can't. It's foreign to me.
When I hear stuff like this, especially when I wasn't a young person, first of all.
Old enough to know better.
Yeah,
He wasn't.
Right.
I know the individual he was definitely in his late 20s, early 30s. I mean, that's just that's ridiculous.
Totally ridiculous. And I say this, when I hear the reason I ask is, especially lately, I hear stuff about young people, and I start thinking of what brought them to this point, And under 26, your frontal lobe at 25, your frontal lobe is not fully developed.
Right.
So I'm thinking, is there any hope for this person? What really made them think, I'm gonna take out a box?
That's where the guidance come in. This is what we're talking about, Jay. This is why I'm so concerned, and this is why I'm adamant in terms of pushing for fathers and adult male figures to be more involved in our children's lives. We just have to, because they don't have the guidance. If they had the guidance, they would understand. Mothers, for the most part, they just love the nurturers. They love those kids to death.
Born nurturers, but they do need a male guidance.
You need that, and some mothers can do it. I mean, my mother was like Attila the Hun. I mean, she was like.
I'm going to tell you, you've heard my mother's reputation. She's been a strong black woman here in the city of New Haven, prominent in politics or such. But to be honest, I don't think she necessarily did the part of a father figure or being that, although she had her ways of making sure that I understand right from wrong. But that male role model came from the people around me.
Right.
They made the difference.
Right.
And I gotta say, it worked with me for all the way to this day. Sometimes I find myself, I start talking about kids, not with them. Once I'm with them, it's a different story. But I find myself sometimes when I'm talking about them, the emotions start coming up so strong, especially if I find that they're being disenfranchised. I find that it gets really raw to me, because I just know this kid deserved more, deserved something a little bigger. And then the question mark, especially like I said, when I see this kid is being disenfranchised, it really hits me. It really does. Because, and then I'm like, am I doing enough? Am I giving to others what I got?
You're probably doing the job of 10 men. Yeah, I mean,
Thanks,
when you think about it, I mean, really, we just need, one of the most difficult things with the Kiyama movement, we do a mentoring.
Yes, I want you to also talk
program.
about that.
And the thing is, finding mentors, it is extremely difficult. We got all the kids we need. It's just finding mentors. I mean, so you have to incentivize it almost, to get folks out there. Because I get it. People are busy. People are raising their own children. People are, involved in extended family members' lives and those sort of things. So I get it. But that is our challenge, is to, because what we're trying to do is create a new paradigm where we have the individual, the male child, and we want to surround that individual with different male adults.
Listen, man, keep me in line, man. Keep me fully involved.
Yeah, it's a powerful approach. And, again, it's we're making progress. It's slow, Jay, but we're making progress. But it's finding those individuals to surround each kid. Because imagine this: each kid has it's based on the presidential cabinet, right? Giving each kid their own cabinet. That's what it's based on. So we surround them with advisors.
Okay.
You know, and each advisor can do their own thing with the kid whenever he or even she have that time. We but
And these are all inner city kids here?
yeah.
Okay, great.
And I like to focus on the most at-risk kids.
That's a good point.
Those I like. Although other kids need the guidance and support
They
as well.
do, but
I like, that's who I am. I like dealing with the at-risk population.
because here you are a civil rights lawyer, and you also practice different laws as well.
Well, I do criminal defense. That's what
Criminal
I
defense.
I do that and personal injury primarily.
All right.
You know what I mean? And I've worked with others in the civil rights field. People call me a civil rights lawyer only because of my background. Like,
Right.
you've known me
I know.
to constantly challenge the system.
Right.
You know, to challenge the injustices in the system.
Right.
And so I've been doing that even before I became a lawyer. So now naturally, I've morphed into that role,
right.
or people have
Mm-hmm.
accepted me as that. But for the most part, my bread and butter is criminal defense and personal injury.
Let's shift gears a little. Just if I could speak, touch base a little. By the way, what's the name of your program?
Kiyama.
Kiyama.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely want you to get one, put me in the loop. Two, and two, I definitely want you at the end to make sure people know how to reach out or if they want to support what it is that you're doing.
Sure. Just give me a reminder on that.
Absolutely, I got you. Let's touch a little social right now. I saw you wrote a opinion page again in the New Haven Independent, and it was entitled. What was the title?
It was. Well, my title was what to do about Black and Brown unity, but it was
Right.
don't in the Independent entitled it "Don't Give Up on Black and Brown Unity,"
Right.
and so it grew out of this report that came out of Los Angeles about a few weeks ago, in which four high-powered Latino politicians. One was a president of a labor organization.
Right. One was the city council.
Yeah, they were exposed. They were caught on tape about a conversation that took place in October 2021, so a year ago from this particular month, and they were caught saying some real nasty things, ugly things about
Very nice.
a black
not
child.
Joe Ugly type ugly.
Yeah,
ugly.
Ugly about a black child.
Right.
About the father who was white and gay, and they even talked about
The child. Calling the child a monkey.
Yeah, and the folks from southern Mexico
Exactly.
state of Oaxaca. So they were calling them short, dark little people, different real derogatory terms
Right.
that was being used, and so basically my article was about the cat is now out of the bag, and it talked about how for years, Jay, I always believed in Black and Brown unity for years, but over time, it occurred to me that they didn't believe
Right.
in Black and Brown unity.
Right.
Like
Correct.
even at college, the Organization of Latin American Students, that was one of my primary goals, is to organize with them because come on now, we combine resources, we have a power base.
But here's the thing: in the Latino community, there is Black Latinos and white Latinos, and the big mix-up that is used conveniently is when the confusion between race, ethnicity, and there's a third wheel here. Nationality. Race, ethnicity, and nationality. When we stop mixing it all up, when you hear someone say, "Oh, I'm Latino," but Martin Sheen is Latino, but he's a white man, so
And that matters.
and it does matter. So when we say Latino, that divide that you've been seeing along, there are some who would work both sides,
Right,
both
but
lines.
here's what they fail to realize.
Mhm.
First of all, if the goal is to attain some elevated status or higher or in
Some form
the
of
racial,
advancement.
I call it the mythical racial caste system of American society.
Okay.
So that we're clear, and this is what I wrote, it's a two-tier structure in America.
Mhm.
whites occupy the upper level, and then there's everybody else.
Mhm.
So what are you aiming for? And let me tell you something. They will fight tooth and nail. I'm talking about tens of millions of whites will fight tooth and nail if you try to alter that historical arrangement.
True.
That's what I wrote. So what is your end game when you distance yourself from someone who's similarly situated, as an individual or as a group? What's the end game?
No, I realize. I hear what you're saying. I really and truly, to a great deal, concur with what you're saying.
Mhm.
I recently read an article in the New York Times entitled, I believe it was "The Whiting of the Italian Community," and what transpired back in like 1864, I believe it was, where seven Italian Americans were found not guilty on some case in New Orleans, and they took them out, and a mob came, took them out, and caught 5 of them and strung them up. And their rationale was because the Italian Americans were mixing very much so with blacks. Up until then, the lesson from that was the whitification of Italian Americans until they start seeing themselves as European white. And that's what they are at the end of the day. Hell, I've been over there so many times. They're in Europe. Same thing is happening now with those who are in the Latino community, whereas you find the whitening of the Latino community. And then you find even those who has a little hue in their complexion, they still see themselves not as black, even if they are. Like this young man here is Afro-Latino.
Yes, sir.
And he's strong with that because what he went through as a kid, and within the same ranks, having to deal with racism within family.
Going through checkpoints of I hung around a lot with black kids, period. That's just how I connected. And if I go to a group of, in this case, Latinos who are not my hue or not my complexion, or white Latinos, and I speak Spanish, they start questioning, oh, you're really Puerto Rican. And then you go through these, well, I'm Puerto Rican, but you go through these checkpoints, and it's like, you got to go through validations to prove that. So as a kid, realizing that, okay, I'm being told, no, you're not black, you're Puerto Rican, but yet being called black in Spanish, like negro, negrito, it's very confusing because now you're trying to find a space. And now you have white Latinos who are creating this space within the black community where you have them giving out straight nasty racism. And they say, no, I'm not this, I'm this, right? I'm Puerto Rican. And now I'm in a situation as a black Latino who are saying, no, I'm not. Are you black? I said, I guess, but I'm Puerto Rican. Then it's this disconnect of, can I even trust this individual? So
and that's the key to it.
Yeah.
That is the key, where you get down to, where can I trust you?
Right.
And look, I read your article, and first question I should ask you is, you run for mayor, man?
No.
I
get that all the time, man. Someone actually posed that question in the comment section, like, who's running for mayor in 2023?
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
I didn't.
No, I don't.
See, this is the problem. I should have went through the comments. To see what people say.
No. I wrote it because I thought it was necessary and I thought it was timely, and I wanted to put it out there. I mean, he just spoke about his experience. I just always found it to be so ignorant that when folks engage in those distinctions, because again, America's a two-tier structure. That's all. It's whites on top. And everybody else. And that's how it is. And no matter what you try to do to escape it, to run away from it, you can't.
And this is the thing. If you are black, obviously you're never going to be a part of the whiting of America. But you got the BICOs, that I call them, black in color only, BICOs. But you have in the Latino community, this element that just will not accept. Will not. And like you said, you would like to see us together.
Absolutely.
But when you look, for example, right now, the shift of Latino males that have gone Republican. Some of them don't even like Trump, but they like the conservative views. And some of it stems from religion, but a good portion of it stems from, I like this acceptance over here. I like where this come. A lot of the pushback also started in. Look, I have an Italian, I call them acquaintances, who was telling me one day, his kid can't even find a job in the pizzeria. And when he was a kid coming up, you knew you went down to the pizzeria, you got a summer job and this and that. He said, my kid can't do it. It is a bunch of Latinos in the back. And I'm like, well, who's hiring them? So then you get into the idea of your people are hiring them. And then you get mad and say, who's coming to take your jobs? And then guess who you start talking about? Oh, everyone who comes through the borders like myself or like Haitian Americans. And
so my goal is this, Jay, on some real. My goal is bringing together marginalized groups, even marginalized whites.
But is it possible?
And whites of goodwill. Whites to create or establish an anti-racist movement that's formidable, that could help to fundamentally challenge and subsequently transform the social, economic, and political order in this country.
We were on that path before, because when you look in politics, there was always a Black and Latino, it was called the Black and Hispanic Caucus in politics. We caucus now, but now you have Hispanic caucus, Black caucus, and it is that caucus to help bring forth laws that can help the economic advancement of our people. It's fell apart like in the last 20 to 25 years.
Because in most instances I found, in my orbit, it's because folks do not want to work with the African American leadership.
Yes,
and the African American community.
Key.
I mean,
No.
It's almost like they're competing against us. Like, dude, what are you competing over?
I want you to
for?
please repeat the last part there. They don't want to work, because that's the key. They don't want to work with African American leadership.
Right.
Yep.
And it's not just like that. Don't fall on the Latinos. That fall on the whites as well, Asians. Yeah. You put a Black person in charge, and immediately there's a problem.
Yep. Well, I found white progressives to be more willing to work with Black leadership in the Black community than the Latino community.
At what end? I'm always cautious.
I just think I think folks understand alliances and the importance of alliances. Mm-hmm. And I'm not the one who's going to turn down an alliance. I think the
right, and that makes sense.
You understand that when it's for a common cause. Mm-hmm. You understand, and sometimes those things are not. They're not always what you want them to be.
Right.
But there's some wrinkles there and things you got to hash out. But if the general tenor is we're trying to accomplish a particular mission, mm-hmm. and we know we stand a better chance of doing it together than doing it apart. Mm-hmm. Why not do it? And the other thing is, Jay, I'm a history buff. I've learned from history. It's a dangerous thing to reject those kind of alliances. I remember reading about in the Third Reich the rise of the Nazis and Hitler and his gang, and the Social Democrats and the Communists both had they were similarly situated and had similar views. Refused to work together. Mm-hmm. And Hitler rose through politics. He tried to use armed revolution to overthrow the government and was arrested and thrown in prison. Right. But when he came out, he got smart and he rose through the politics and almost won the presidency twice. He ran, almost won. Hindenburg won, but Hindenburg turns around, and because Social Democrats and Communists were split and didn't have that power to put one of their own in as president, Hindenburg, who's a conservative at the time, the president, a former field marshal for the German Wehrmacht, he appointed Hitler Chancellor of Germany.
Correct.
And the rest is history. I don't need to go into the history.
Correct.
But on January 30th, 1933, democracy died in Germany.
Yes, it did.
And both the Social Democrats and the Communists paid a severe price. Let's not even talk about the Jewish community.
Right.
Right. And all other marginalized groups paid a severe price for that. And this is what I'm saying. We have to understand that history. I understand the history, and this is why I'm so adamant about this unity that I talk about.
This history that you talk about, and because not just that you talk about that history, and you're trying to avoid it happening. And I believe there's a group of individuals across this country that is totally trying to avoid it, myself included. I am right there with you. There's a group, however, and I don't know if it's because they're the loudest in the room, but that anti-nationalist, they or should I say nationalism? They believe in nationalism. They push that Trump anti-foreigner.
Fascism.
It's called
Fascism at its mass. Absolutely.
And it's on the horizon.
It's like, for example, just a couple weeks ago, Italy got total over-the-top right wingbird nutbag as their new president, as new leader. I wasn't surprised.
Well, it's happening in several places.
And I'll tell you why I wasn't surprised. I was in Italy with the family in 2018, and driving around, I saw all this graffiti, and it was in Italian. I don't speak Italian, and I thought it was, oh wow, they all nice, and I'm like, wow, they got graffiti all in here. And it was detailed, like totally. And my wife's cousin translated to me, and it was so anti-foreigners that they were using graffiti to reach the younger people, to just spread that nasty garbage. And she was saying, it's just sickening. It is all over the place. And they will put these little tags on it that mean something, that they will keep, and they were all over. And I was like, wow. Every time I saw it, I was like, wow. So, and then keep in mind, this is 2 years into the Trump administration. I was like, oh, Lord, man, where's this world going to? Here we are. That was 2018, 4 years later. They picked Mussolini's connect, offspring of Mussolini's belief. So where do we stand? Not just here in this country, globally, was a black person, a black man, or a black person, period, traveling, where do we really stand?
Well, we got problems. I think, never mind outside the country, right here in the country. I mean, it's I think the National Republican Party is a very dangerous organization.
Totally.
They're very, very dangerous. I think this creeping fascism is real.
Mm-hmm.
I think this whole notion of authoritarianism, this notion of the leader, is dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if they take power in Washington D.C., I think we're in for it. I mean, because you got to imagine, I don't think they're going to give up that power. That's what January 6th was about.
Well, here's the crazy thing. On my show, I remember back in 2015. In 2015, I said, you guys mess around and let this guy get into office. Here's witness right here. You mess around and let this guy get into office, it's going to be hell to try to get him out.
He's not leaving.
He's not leaving. What was my term? He's going to roll tanks.
He's going to roll tanks, yep.
Well,
and he came close.
Yeah.
It's just that the generals then went along with him. But that's what he had, the National Guard on standby. Yep. He wanted tanks to roll down Pennsylvania. He wanted to implement. Yeah, he wanted to implement martial law.
Listen. That's what authoritarian figures do. They use the law,
right?
I mean, to keep things in check.
And racist.
And that's exactly what I think they will do. Because think about it. If they control the House, they control impeachment.
Right.
So Biden's going to be impeached.
Mm-hmm.
Now, will he get convicted in the Senate? It depends on who's running the Senate.
Exactly.
And how far they want to go.
Right.
You understand?
I know exactly what you mean.
So, because Trump got impeached twice, but never was convicted in the Senate.
Well, they didn't move to remove them. The impeachment itself is the conviction.
No, it's not.
It's not?
No, that's the process, right?
Okay.
So that means that's the indictment.
Okay.
Now, you have to be convicted in the Senate in order to be removed.
So if they remove it, it's considered a conviction.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But the impeachment is just a humiliating thing. This guy got impeached twice.
Yeah. Twice.
And
still have a strong voice
for overthrowing the coup, the tie in this country was an attempted coup.
Yep.
That's all you could consider January 6th to be.
That's all it was.
Was an insurrection.
Right.
That was spawned by him.
Right.
He was behind it, and several leaders of the Congress were behind it.
That
And
said,
and go ahead. I don't know.
no, I don't mind you, man. You're a good guest.
Yeah,
You
go
talk.
Talk to me.
No,
You have a
no.
question.
That said, and seeing the levels that these people will go to,
Yep.
and then you have the Latino males merging with them so
Following
strong,
along.
following along. How do you see a future then, knowing this and seeing this? It's evident. How do you see a future of the Black and Latino community getting together? Because I would like it to come together, but
Right.
this is what we're facing.
We need intelligent and capable individuals from both communities
Mm-hmm.
to sit down and have that discussion. You
Mhm.
understand? Like, and there has to be a sense of and a degree of trust among us. Like, I understand we're similarly situated. What do you need? What do you want? Let's help you get what you need.
Mm-hmm.
You help us get what we need.
Mhm.
If we differ on something, let's see if we can work it out.
Right.
Make
But-
it happen.
Mike, that's exactly what the Black and Latino caucus was, Black and Hispanic it used to be called. That's exactly what they were doing all the way through the 80s. I remember through the 80s. That's how we got, that's even how Hank Parker got in there. That's how there were Latinos in government because those two caucuses came together. The Black and Hispanic caucus here in the
those are aberrations, I think, but I do believe that it gives us a sense of what can be accomplished if the two communities did in fact come together. But that has to happen, Joe, because if not, we're cutting off our nose to spite our face. I mean, think about it. It's if it gets to that point,
Mhm.
if it gets to that point where marginalized groups
Mhm.
leave themselves separated from each other, it's easy pickings.
Oh, absolutely. Divide and conquer.
It's easy pickings.
Divide and conquer,
and
100.
folks don't get that. I mean, think about it. If they're coming after the Latino community and you have no support, I mean,
Mhm.
what then? They're coming after the Black community. We have no support. What then?
And then on top of it, we have the likes of, I gotta say it, the likes of Kanye West. That's the garbage.
Yeah, he's
Goes-
an idiot.
Yeah, here's the thing. Here's the thing with him. He said Harriet Tubman didn't free slaves. He said slavery was a choice. He even went as far recently as to say George Floyd overdosed. He wasn't murdered. Well, in so many terms, that was his definition of it. But then he went anti-Semite. And boy, I mean, did he get that work? So here's what I got to say on that. And I'm going to run the clock a little on this. I look at this and I say, we as a Black community have to stop being so forgiving.
Mhm.
We forgive him when we should have cut him off at the path and stop our kids from even looking at his damn shoes, let alone buying it. When he came out and said that stuff about Harriet Tubman didn't free slaves.
Not just that, when his merch had Confederate flags
He
on
walk
it.
around with Confederate flags on his merch. And
It's
kids
like
are buying it. Black kids are buying it.
Black kids are buying
I
it.
mean, come on.
Yeah,
We
he-
have to
he-
cut it off at the
he's-
path.
out of
but
control.
Kanye is a very dangerous individual because
Totally dangerous.
Yep.
I believe there's some mental health issues going on. I believe that.
It shows in other areas.
Yeah, but he's dangerous because of his influence.
Someone would
And-
say Hitler he also had mental health issues. I'm not giving this Hitler. I'm not gonna give this cockroach any passes.
I'm not.
Yeah.
That's not a pass.
Yeah.
I'm simply because there are millions of people got mental health issues that are doing what Kanye doing.
Correct.
And they have a platform as well.
Right.
I'm not saying millions, but quite a few.
No, quite a few. You're
who
absolutely
dealing
right.
with issues and don't have. But our thing is to, I don't think we should become consumed by him. He is ignorant,
Mhm. Agreed.
and he's clearly foolish, and a fool will soon part with his or her money, and that's what we're seeing now
Right.
with
Right.
Kanye. He's parting with his money, and here's the thing, Joe. Kanye's a musical genius.
Mhm. I
Stay
agree.
in your lane.
Exactly.
Whatever you want to say, put it in your music.
Exactly.
What gives you the license to come out and step into somebody else's lane?
And try to
you
speak
don't-
for us.
Yeah, and don't even know what you're talking about.
Exactly.
You don't know what you're talking about.
He don't.
And to say that slavery's a choice cancels you as far as I'm concerned,
There you go.
in my eyes.
There you go. And you see, this is why. Look, Michael.
He's just making crap up.
Michael, here's where we go. When I say we need to stop forgiving, and we can so easily. We also do it right here. Look, we have a school right here in the city of New Haven called Amistad.
Mhm.
And it's been rubbing my grind every time I pass the junior high, the high school. Every time I pass them and I see the name Amistad, it just grinds me to all ends. And I was recently having a conversation with someone, and who was telling me about the school and what the involvement. I'm like, good for you, keep it moving. And it goes, oh, parents really like that school because of that. I'm like, yeah. And I bet you that's the same parents who have a problem with the Edmund Pettus Bridge or General Lee statue or Christopher Columbus statue in Worcester Square. But yet you go stuff your kids into a monument named after a slave ship? No, that bugs me, and it's been bugging me for all hell long. I can't stand it. We need to look, I tripled at them now. They might try to say, oh, Amistad means friend. It's, what's it, Portuguese for friend, or is this
Spanish?
It's Spanish for friend. Okay, fine. Okay. Let me see you go into a Jewish community and spell school with Hitler's S. I'll wait. You go into a black community and put the name of your school, Amistad, a slave ship, and we're letting them get away with that. That monument should go. I'm not forgiving them. I'm not standing with that garbage, and not even in the slightest. Michael Jefferson, criminal attorney. It was so great having you in here, man. I'm telling you, we touched base on a lot of stuff.
Absolutely.
This man, he's kicked off the rebrand of Keeping It Ugly with Joe Ugly. Man, I tell you, it's great having you on here.
It's a pleasure being here. Joe, may I get the...
I would definitely get around.
Okay.
Ask you now.
So it's Kiyama movement.com, KIYAMA movement.com, all one word. Kiyama being the Swahili word for resurrection.
Oh.
Right? And that's what I was looking up when I first, many years ago, because Kiyama was founded as a birthday gift for Malcolm's 80th birthday, Malcolm X's 80th birthday.
Oh.
So that's why we founded on May 19th. 2005. So it was a birthday gift.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? So here we are 15 years later, you know what I mean? But the word also means Judgment Day, which just happened to, pop up. And I was like, wow. You understand? So visit the site, learn a little bit about us and about the movement. It's not an organization, Jay, it's a movement. Organizations are easily co-opted.
So true.
So
true.
We tried to move away from that, create the movement, and it's basically a movement for self-improvement of males of African descent.
You also have are you part of the organization Black Men Vote too?
Well, that's part of Kiyama.
Oh, that's part of
it. Yeah. So that's an offshoot. So we're going to be doing a lot around this referendum that's coming up. We need people to support early voting. That's key.
Right.
We don't like to vote anyway, but hell, if we can get an early voting law passed,
right,
that will go a long way to get people out. Because you leave it on one day, or you have to do absentee ballots. That's really all we have right now. And that could be difficult for some. Connecticut is one of only, I believe, 4 states remaining that does not have
early voting.
So we got to come out there. I mean, when these other states have early voting, come on, why don't we?
Right.
It just makes no sense, and that's going to be on the ballot, and we have to push that. So I was talking to Michael Smart, the city town clerk. We're friends, and we had a good chat about it.
Say hello to him for me now.
I will.
Please.
But yeah, Jay, thanks for having me. Look forward to coming back.
Absolutely. Listen, I know right now the case, you guys getting ready to make an announcement on the case of Randy Cox. So I would love to have you back as a guest. We can do a follow-up on that. Man.
Absolutely, bro.
All right.
Let's do this.
Listen, man, my man Michael Jefferson in the building came here, hang out with me for a good hour or so, and we had a great conversation, man.
I loved it, bro.
Yeah, man. I love 100.
I love your setup, and I wish you the absolute best, Jay.
I thank you, man.
Moving forward, bro.
Absolute. Same to you, my brother. Same to you. And don't forget to spin me in with
Kiyama.
Kiyama. I got to get that name right. I love it.
Gotcha.
All right. All right, people. Stay connected, keep it ugly. I gotta let you know, copyright 2019 to present day, all rights reserved. No portion of this program or any content broadcast, streamed, or distributed via 2vstream.org or any of its past or current authorized distribution platforms is allowed to be recorded, downloaded, or distributed in any form, including print, without the express written consent of its owners or publishers. 2vstream.org is a marketing and distribution outlet of Global Youth Media Initiative. All rights reserved. Take us out.